What's up, everybody? We are back. This is Buck Junkies Season 3, the premiere, right, guys?
Yep, part 3.
Premiere something.
Seemed like it's been a while.
You know, we always take that break, I guess, summer, but kind of the beginning of the summer for us. Hunting season's kind of over officially. We don't have anything after turkey season, really, that we do.
Most of us are going on vacations.
And stuff too, time to take vacation. That's kind of what we did, but I still got outside and did some stuff. How about y'all?
Yeah, got to do some fishing, and I don't know. We've had pretty crazy summer so far. I mean, it's 110-degree heat index one week, and like this week, it's going to be 80 degrees most of the week. You know, raining and stuff. We've had a lot of rain this summer.
Yeah, everything's growing. That's been the big thing to me is I've been still going down to the farm on weekends and hanging out and watching the plots grow and looking at all the deer we got and the turkey hatch and everything. It's been a good summer for us.
So where are we at right now?
We, as far as hunting season goes, or
no, I'm saying location. We're somewhere new.
Oh yeah. Y'all may notice we're not in the podcast room anymore. We are down at the farm. I built a new smokehouse out back behind the house to where we could do some cooking and film some barbecue videos and stuff. And we decided it'd be a good place to do our podcast. So y'all are going to see us down here at the farm more doing the podcast and hopefully, get some more footage and content out there. Everybody knows the content is king.
A good excuse to get out of the office too.
That's exactly right.
Oh, I didn't mind doing emails this morning out there on the patio. That was all right.
Today.
It's going to be, see, my thinking is, I mean, I had to run it by the boss, but I think we're down here, we'll get to hunt a little more. So I kind of got a plan. If we got to come down to do a podcast, you might as well come down and sit and stand that morning, right?
And a good fresh topic. We get a hunting in the morning before we do this.
That's right. Yeah.
Or in the afternoon.
We might do some live out at the skinny shed.
No, it's been a busy year though. All things considered since last time, I guess. And
y'all did a lot of cooking this summer.
Man, I don't think we've had
this is our only month off.
Yeah, we hadn't had no weekend.
You don't feel like it's been a vacation at all?
Oh, it's been hot. We've been cooking way too much.
Yeah,
and still got we're halfway there.
Man, the fall is a busy time for y'all. I'm glad. I think me and Mikey are sitting here waiting on dove season and bow season.
Man, I can't wait. I'm ready for that cold weather and hunt season to start.
Man, I'm sick of this hot weather, y'all.
Me too.
Me and Mark had cool weather. It was just like 10 hours from here before we got it.
Yeah, Joe, you ran into the fan, didn't you?
Man, yeah, I'm officially known as a guy that don't shoot anything on Buck Junkies.
We were sitting there and a guy walked up, started talking to us, asked about Buck Junkies, and he knew who he was, and we were sitting there talking. He stopped dead in the middle of his tracks and looked at Jamie and says, "You're the guy that don't shoot nothing." And Jamie's like, "Yep, that's me."
Where were y'all in Virginia?
Galax, Virginia.
It's good to know people watching Buck Junkies up there.
Oh, this guy had a pretty touching story, really, in all honesty.
Really? What was his deal?
Him and his best friend, they cooked together a lot. And if he's listening, I apologize. I forgot his name. But, yeah, they cooked together a lot, and his friend passed away. And he's like, man, I just quit cooking. And then he's riding down the road. I don't remember if he said it was Buck Junkies Podcast or How to Barbecue Ride or whatever. He's listening to podcast, video, whatever. And he said, man, I'm not doing my friend justice by not continuing what we're doing. He said, man, what y'all are doing, just talking about the average Joe Blow hunting, it's just stuff like that. That's what drew me in. He said, man, I done watched all the podcasts. I've gone back to some of the original How to Barbecue Right videos. He said, man, I'm hooked.
Good.
It's something about a podcast. I thoroughly enjoy listening to podcasts, and it's been plenty of times where I'll go back and listen to our own and pick up on things I didn't catch while we were sitting here together,
Yeah.
And as dumb as it sounds, I like listening to our own podcast because you do pick up on things, and it helps you come up with topics for the next week. And I don't know, that's a podcast to me. We do a lot of traveling, and if I'm getting in the truck going, I'm fixing to listen to a podcast every time.
Well, it's fun to hear everybody's different experiences because not everybody's deer hunting, fishing, barbecuing experiences are the same, and they're not experienced the same. Not everybody does it the same. I mean, everybody watches everything on TV and thinks, well, that's how everybody hunts. Well, not necessarily. It's good to hear other people's ideas and thoughts and just ways that they go about doing hunting season or barbecue or fishing and stuff like that. And it's interesting to see what everybody else is doing too.
It's like I was cutting grass the other day and listening to podcasts about hunting guys. Like, man, I grew up thinking when you went hunting, you sat there for 5 minutes and a 180-inch deer come out. He said, just from watching TV, he said, that's how it was portrayed to him. He's like, nobody taught me how to hunt. He said, it took forever to figure it out, but that's not that's not realistic to the average guy.
Y'all still watch the hunting shows on Outdoor Channel Pursuit and Sport?
Oh,
Kids
yeah.
stuff?
I do, but have you noticed that it's not like 10 years ago? It was every deer they shot was 150, 200 inch deer, 180 inch deer. Now it's more kind of average.
Well, I think
A lot of them are average kills or average hunts they go on.
Yeah.
I think the whole aspect, kind of what we're doing is, cameras, back then were way out of most people's budgets. So now people can get cameras, and you're seeing a lot more of the average Joe's hunts. You look at a lot of these hunting shows, they're all filmed one person, you know. I mean, you look at Seek One, I mean, he's got a camera guy, but that's not a full production crew, and some of these crews are, using GoPros and cameras just like we are. So
I like that style of it better.
It kind of gives you more realistic what actually goes on. And, what's the one guy? Real World, Real Hunts we watch. That is not what you
That's
expect.
not what it's like.
Yeah, you don't shoot an elk, a caribou, a wildebeest, and a mountain lion, and
All
a
the
zebra
same-
all in the same location.
Same pen.
Yeah.
That's where they were.
No, there's a lot of different people out there in different ways of hunting and shows and things like that. Like you were talking about, like we used to watch Primos a lot. Primos, Nightingale, that's kind of what I cut my teeth on watching.
That's the OG guys. Yeah.
I don't even see Nightingale no more, but Primos now, they've kind of done what you have here, Malcolm. They've bought their own properties and own their own properties, and the deer that they're killing down, they're still nice deer, but they're more focused on their own management program and
Habitat.
food plots and killing out undesirable deer. And, they take trophy deer off of it, but they're not so much going to some of these other places where, like Jamie said, they're killing those great big old bucks, that they paid to hunt, and they've got, 15 people in the trees around through there. Now they're it's one camera, one guy. And
Well, that's what this guy was kind of saying the same thing about if you kill a deer, it ain't got to be a 150-inch deer to be a trophy. If it's a 8-point, you kill on government land, a 10-inch spread or whatever, if that's your trophy, that's your trophy. Don't be ashamed of it. I mean,
It's something
That's
about
my philosophy.
Yeah. It's something about watching the deer. Like, just like you look at Ricky. I mean, we've had him, like, that was when I seen that picture come across camera a couple weeks ago, I was more excited to see him back, that he made it through the summer. And we didn't know how healthy that deer was last year.
yeah,
so Ricky is, I guess, 3 years you've had him on camera. 2, I know.
This is the 2 that I know for
this is
sure.
the second year we caught him that we knew couldn't
He's
identify
probably a
him anyway.
3-year-old deer, if I had to guess.
So there's no visual wound on him whatsoever that I can tell.
He's got a broke leg.
But his left front leg, he's held up.
Since day one.
Yeah.
I've never seen that
picture
leg touch
we've
the ground.
seen of him. He's never, and his rack don't go out. It goes straight up
Yeah.
like
It
it
melts.
just,
Almost
at the
like
top.
billy goat horns. They
Yeah.
go straight up and it curls over
I mean, I
towards
don't-
the front, and all the horns come out the front of him.
I mean, I would love to have him mounted, but then again, wait, I don't want nobody to kill him.
That's what I
He's
seen him.
cool.
I was like, man, I don't want to see him go. Like, I want to see what that deer will
He
do
picked
2
up
more
a
years.
pretty decent rack
Yeah.
from last year to this year. I mean, it's
His
still
body looks way heavier this year to me. Like, his hindquarters are way thicker than they were last year.
I'm surprised that he's healthy. Because seeing that deer last year, and even after we found his sheds, I figured that he would be, just downhill. Well, he's put on weight this
Yeah.
year, and it's probably because of all the stuff we got planted out there.
I don't think nothing's physically wrong with him. I think he got injured like as a fawn, and he technically since day one has never put weight on that foot, so
Yeah,
he
'cause
never
both
has.
sides are jacked up
Yeah.
on his rack.
Yeah.
It's not just one side.
Yeah, both.
Usually whatever side is injured, it's the opposite side that is affected by that. So looking at him, both sides are jacked up.
Could be a bird defect.
Maybe he just ain't got good genes, or maybe that's just
He
what.
definitely ain't got good genes.
I mean, I don't know. I think he's still breeding, though.
Oh
I don't
yeah, I'm
think
sure
I don't
he is.
think he's like,
I don't know. I don't know if you
think
could
so?
jump up on something with just 3 legs like that real good.
Shoot,
I don't know.
if I lose a leg, I'm still gonna be going.
Rut
Rut
Mikey, he's gonna give you another nub, huh?
Yeah.
But going back, that's what I enjoy is, it doesn't have to be a 180-inch deer. I'd love for one of us to kill one down here, but realistically, is that going to happen? Most likely not. But we're going to see a lot of good deer, and we've seen them grow, and we've done what said couldn't be done, and that's manage small property.
Yep.
And it shows this year more than ever. I mean, we say that every year, but this year, I mean, you look at some of the bucks we got on camera now, it's some of the biggest bucks we've had on camera.
I mean, we lose some of our deer. I mean, we lost some last year. I mean, what was it, turkey season or whatever, we found one of our bucks that we were wanting to kind of grow and we're excited about seeing, and we lost him to something, found him in the middle of the property dead. And one of the neighbors caught one of our better bucks that we had on camera that we were wanting. I mean, that's going to happen on small properties. You just got to account for that. I mean, it sucks because you really picture yourself or somebody in your group getting that deer, but sometimes it happens where somebody else gets it, neighbor gets it, or a car or coyotes or something like that. So
yeah, that's people do tend to think, well, that's my deer because it's on my property, but it ain't. We don't own the deer, but it's cool to see that deer transfer over years, grow bigger, and us see it. And see,
I think we technically own Ricky though.
Yeah,
I don't think he goes about 100 yards a day.
I do want to claim.
I don't think
Ricky.
we got nobody worry about nobody putting him on the wall or anything.
Yeah. He's been hanging around the same spot, like from where we found his shed. We didn't find his sheds at the same time. Me and Mark, you found one. We were up on top of the hill.
Wasn't 30 yards from it.
That was back in late February, and then Mikey, we were together riding, and he was down the hill in the food
season
plot.
when we found it.
Yeah,
I really don't think I think he's there. He's not. He ain't traveling no mile radius from where we're seeing him.
He's not on camera every day, but every 2 or 3 days
on the exact same camera, same location,
same camera, same spot, hanging out with the same other 2 bucks.
Yeah.
He's running with the bat. See, that's what I tend to think he's doing all right because he's running with these other bucks.
Yeah,
and he's probably the older of those 3 he's running with. Yeah, so he's the dominant, I would think.
You know, weird thing about him is like he don't hardly come to the interior of the property much.
Nope.
He stays in a certain area, you know, on that 50 acres back there, and a little bit we catch him every now and then on some of the other cameras on that same side, but you know, we never see him in the mud hole. We never see him up here.
He's never at the pond.
So I don't know if his little territory is just, you know, if his little square is like that area, then it just overlaps onto us.
Maybe 75 yards.
So none of us has actually seen him
in person
in the stand. I don't guess neither.
We had one picture of him last year on the pond stand, and that was
we
during rut.
Him last year. We
he
had
was
him
on the
marked
hit
to be
list.
shot.
He was on the hit list just because we thought he was wounded. But now, I mean, I'd want to see him and watch him a little bit and see how he's doing. Because if he's out there, if he's pushing does around early in the season out in the food plot, or we're seeing him creeping around checking fields and stuff, I think he's on the rut.
Yeah.
You know, he's going to be a deer that's going to try to make it.
I just want to know what's wrong. That's
what's wrong with him.
Yeah, I done zoomed in. You can't visually see anything. What makes
I mean, when you watch him feed, so this was one cool thing, and I had this for us to talk about. I don't know if we'll get to it all today, but we had a game camera that was it's a cell cam, but it wouldn't get reception, so it never sent pics. So we assumed that it didn't have, it wouldn't take any pictures. Nothing was coming through it. Well, me and Mikey pulled that card and started looking at them, and I'd forgot I'd done switched the card to video. And on these cameras, it won't send video clips to your phone, but it'll send you a picture letting you know that it took a video clip.
Done something, yeah.
So we went back and pulled them and started looking at these video clips, and that's when we first saw him. He's coming in, and he's moving out in front of the camera. He's, doing what he's supposed to be doing. It looks like a healthy deer, and you see that more on the video clips than you would ever a still. You see a still pic like we've always seen, you think he's hurt.
Yeah, he's holding his leg up.
He's running, pushing other deer around,
but he's still not walking on that leg.
No, he won't. He never puts it on the ground. It stays kicked up the whole time.
It's crazy.
Which, so 2 years ago, I was in that South Trump stand. It was like the last weekend of hunting season, and it was right before dark. A buck had come out, and he was limping real bad, and that's the one I shot at him. I was like, and I thought I had a great shot. I was on a bad streak there for a while, but the deer spun, went over the fence, but he dropped his horns, and he was 8. I still got his horns in there. He was perfect 8, but the deer had a hurt leg. Now I don't know if that wasn't that same deer and his leg was gimp, and I just flat missed him or what. But we found his horns and never found that deer. And then Ricky showed up the next season with that same kind of gimp leg. So I don't know if that's that same deer or not.
It's hard to say.
We thought that deer got across the ditch. Well, did we find blood? I think you did go down that ditch and find some blood.
I found some blood.
We never found it coming out. But I didn't know if I might have shot him where that leg was bad and it just didn't kill him. But I shot him with a 300 Win Mag. Most time it just dirt rolls.
Should have done something to him.
So what have we been doing?
Like I was a nervous shot or anything.
Since last time, we went on a fishing trip.
Yeah, we went down and did some inshore fishing in Venice, Louisiana.
That's like the end of the world.
It was
long. It wasn't that long a drive, but it was a long.
It was a long freaking drive.
Like from home to New Orleans,
Ain't nothing.
like 5 hours. That didn't seem like nothing. But once you get to New Orleans and you got to go south to Venice,
which is what, 2
That's
hours, 2.5 hours probably?
it's supposed to be an hour and a half, but it feels like forever.
Yeah.
It does. I mean, there's nothing to look at. I
Nothing.
mean, if
And
you've
slow
never been down
traffic.
there,
Yeah.
around here, would you kind of, it'd be like a sage grass field with houses in it. You know, when it's up over the, it's just nothing but grass over your head. And then you just kind of, you know, people's got little fields
On
or
the side of the
houses,
road. Yeah.
you know, stuck in this thing. And anyways, like where we went fishing, we pulled up and you couldn't see hardly any water. Every now and then you see a little canal or something like that. And then as we pulled up, we pull into this marina and it's just stuck out in the middle of this grass. And
Yeah.
like, dadgum, you know, you couldn't even see that from where if you were standing on the highway.
Yeah.
That's pretty much as far south as south.
can't go no further
Road
south.
dead ends. You got
that's
to turn
the
around and come
end
back.
of that's the end of
But
the
the
United
fishing
States.
is unbelievable down there. So we caught, what we catch? Redfish,
Redfish, black
black
drum,
drum, and trout,
needlefish.
speckled trout.
Oh, I caught catfish.
Catfish.
I caught catfish.
Both kinds of catfish down there. Captain hates them. don't
Yeah.
he?
The
Yeah,
ones
so-
we were after were the reds and the drums. I would guess
Specs,
in
yeah.
the specs, yeah. But we caught a bunch of different kinds. Jamie's a catfish expert.
Oh man, yeah. If you want to go catch fish you can't keep, don't want to keep, I can catch it.
If y'all have never been red fishing, though, I highly recommend a trip down. What was that place called we stayed at? Redfish Lodge? What?
I think it's
Yeah.
Redfish Lodge. There was several little places around there
Yeah.
that you can rent. We picked that one, and
Highlight of my trip was getting that snapper throat at the
Man, when
restaurant there at the marina.
man,
I was hesitant when you said y'all. Me and Mark Mikey and Malcolm was already there. Me and Mark got there a few minutes late at the restaurant, and he's like, "Man, you got to order this." I'm thinking like soggy, not
Heck no.
very good,
Some
but man,
fine eating.
that was probably one of the best meals we ate down there. It was really, really good. I don't know what all was entailed in cooking it or how they did it. but it was
Ain't nothing
good.
to it, is it, Mikey?
no, there ain't nothing to it. Malcolm actually,
I did a
done it.
video on it's on the TikTok channel on the barbecue thing.
But it's a part of the fish that you wouldn't even think about messing with. And, you know, once you think about, like, when you clean a snapper, you know, it's got that big old head, you know, and there's a lot of meat left there. And this just comes out from under it's the bottom jaw back to pretty much the throat, like back to
Yeah.
the fit.
So brisket on him.
Where his gills are.
Where his
Yeah,
gills are.
yeah.
I mean, it'll a 12-inch plate. You got fried fish hanging off both sides of
Man,
it. I mean,
yeah.
it's a lot of meat.
It's
You
a
got to
lot.
scale them. That's the only thing. You
Yeah.
scale them and clean them up on the inside a little bit. But it's not like, you know, you think of fish having bones in it. The bones in the throat are real big.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
they're
it's kinda
almost
like eating
rib
chicken off
bones
the
in a
bone.
Yeah, it's like a
drum or
chicken
something.
thigh.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
like pulling a chicken thigh.
That's kind of what, except it's white, flaky meat that, man, it's awesome.
It's excellent.
I
I
love
might
it.
near
It's-
would just take the back half of the fish and give it to somebody and keep
Yeah.
the head.
Keep the
Yeah.
throats.
Keep the
Yeah, people
throats.
think you probably think
the
you're
throats
crazy
definitely are
for it.
better for
Yeah.
sure.
It's just
It's the meat's too different. It's different than the fillets to me. I mean, I like the fillets. When we came back, I ate redfish for a solid week. I mean, you can freeze it, but I like to eat it while it's fresh as it can be. So I just kept it on ice for a week and kept the water off of it. And I'd go and we ate fish every night for dinner.
We cooked a pretty good pasta dish with that redfish, and it was
Yeah.
excellent.
I went back and went snapper fishing out of Dolphin Island. It was the Roy R. Martin Youth Anglers Rodeo. It's a weekend before they have a big, huge deep sea fishing rodeo down there every year. It's one of the biggest in the United States. But the youth would fish the weekend before, so we charter a boat and take the kids out, and we wore the snapper out. That's where I brought my snapper back and got the throats from to do the video with. But it was hot in July, man. It's hot out there on that Gulf.
Yeah.
No shade, you're out there in it. But the water was good; it wasn't too bad. We caught some good fish this year.
I kind of almost. I mean, I've been with you. We went deep sea fishing, and I've been inshore fishing. I don't know if I don't like the inshore better.
You know,
I think I do.
it's more like bass fishing. That's what I
Yeah.
liked about it because you're on the boat, and you can move around a little easier.
Well, I just like that when you're deep seas, it's the boat water. That's it. Inshore, man, you see other boats. You can see. Well, we've seen alligator. We've seen just stuff in the grass. I don't know, just little. I don't
Yeah.
know. It's a little neater.
More to
I
look
thought.
at.
Yeah,
There's more action to what you're doing with the inshore because like the type of fishing we were doing is about like brim fishing or
Yeah.
something, but on a bigger scale with corks and stuff like that. You know, we were hooking those shrimp on and throwing them out and watching a cork. So as the cork went down, we're reeling it back up, rebaiting our own. You know, that guy would have rebaited our hooks, but we were educated enough to be able to do that.
Yeah, fishing with live shrimp.
Yeah, fishing with live shrimp. We're throwing it back out, and like you said, I mean, you go out to the deep sea fishing, you just drop off the back of the boat and just sit there and wait till it bumps the line, and you reel them up. I mean, it's still a good fight and it's fun, but there's a lot more action to that inshore fishing because you're steadily casting and rebaiting, and there's a lot of movement in there.
I think it depends on which season you go out offshore too. Like you go snapper season, them captains want to get their snappers, so they're going to have you dropping bottom. And but like we went out, we were targeting a bunch of different species, so we got to do different styles. I mean, we had to fish for bait, and then we had to, us running those little, I think, what are they called? Ziki rigs or whatever they are. It's like little bitty flies. And we did it. We went out. It's about 4 or 5 of them.
A bunch of little bitty small hooks.
You're trying to catch bait, so you do that. But then we go out and we were fishing with spin cast rods with just a shrimp and letting it drift, trying to catch mackerel, things like that. I mean, we were fishing with some lures, so it was different than just dropping on snapper. That was my thing. So I told everybody went with us. I mean, they're going to take us snapper fishing first, so we're going to get our snapper and put them on the boat. And because you can only keep 2 per person, well, then you can start targeting other stuff. And if you got enough time and you got a good captain, they'll run you around to different rigs, different structure, target different stuff. We trolled 2 lines every time. We never got anything on trolling line. That's the one thing I've never done when we've been on one of them boats.
Trolled?
Have something hit one of them trolling rigs.
See, when we went a couple of years ago, that's what we did on the way out because we were going so far out. So it was like an hour and a half ride out to where we were going. So the captain throwed off the downriggers and had I forget what he had going back there, but we were trolling with those, and we were catching mackerel, just back-to-back mackerels.
Yeah.
And that was a lot of fun. We were catching big mackerel too, but
were they hitting it and
they were hitting it, and it would snap up off that down that little rig he had on the side of the boat. It would pop up and it would bend over, and he'd stop the boat, and you reel it in. But they're allowed to be 150 yards behind the daggum boat when you get a hold of it.
Would he stop the boat, or did he keep on going? You got to fight it against the boat too.
That guy was kind of being a butt. He was trying to get to the snapper, and I was like, we're having fun. The kids are having fun. Why don't we just do this? He didn't want to burn all that fuel, but he was like, hurry up. The first one, he let him reel it in. He stopped the boat, and then he got to where he just kind of throttled it down. And
you better get it in.
Man, one of them 10 or 12 pound mackerels, when you're still
at 10 miles an hour,
5 or 10 miles an hour sucks.
That's how it was. We went out years ago. We went about 20, 25 miles out. It wasn't super, super far, but that's what we done. We trolled out and we caught a couple of mackerel, king mackerel, and then we got out there and fished around one of those weather buoys and caught they called them dolphins or whatever, the mahi-mahis or whatever. Yeah. And that was pretty cool, but I didn't care much about the bottom fishing because it ain't no telling what you're finna pull up.
Yeah.
And half the junk, like we pulled up one fish and I go to take it off the hook and the deckhand will tell us, don't touch it, it's poisonous. And I'm like, heck, it just looks like a fish,
You didn't know.
I do want to go tuna fishing though.
That's what I
want to do that next.
Too. I was like, man, y'all need to come do a tuna trip. But you got to man up on if you're gonna do one of those overnight tuna trips, man.
You go to Venice
on that boat all night.
You ain't got to do the overnight.
Yeah, that's the great thing about Venice.
Yeah, I'd have to go out. I wouldn't want to stay on a boat that long. I'd have to drive to Venice or somewhere and go out of there where you're not.
They catch so many fish on that overnight trip though, because you get your limit the day you go out. They go out there and they catch their snapper or whatever other species is in season, put them in the boat, and everybody goes to bed and they go out to the tuna waters. They wake you up and you catch your tuna, and then you come back and you catch your other fish coming back. So you end up with a dock full.
But like we was down there, you catch all these fish. They're not good to carry home and freeze. So it's kind of, I don't know.
You catch 100-pound tuna, that's enough meat for all of us.
And it's not good froze.
No, that's what I'm saying. So I don't want to waste it,
Yeah.
Because I've eat that frozen fish before, and it just don't. It is not even close to the same as getting it and within a few days of coming off the boat.
I want that tuna when it hits the bottom of that boat. I want to try it.
That's exactly what I want to try. I want to try it as soon as it hits the bottom. As soon as you get it on board.
They say it's good. Never done it. They say it's good, dude.
It's got to be.
Chuck goes. That's his thing down there.
I had to hit Chuck up for long.
I also went over to Arkansas and did some trout fishing. I got us a spot over there on the river. We're going to have to build us a little Buck Junkie headquarter over there so we can start doing trout fishing stuff.
The Trout Junkies?
Trout Junkies. Heck yeah. I love it, man. So we pulled a side by side over there. And y'all, Mark, I guess all of us have been.
We've all been.
Yeah. We stayed in that same cabin where we went to the bachelor party. And 2 took her side by sides and rode around all weekend. I mean, to me, I have fun doing that.
So y'all can trout fish. Y'all do that.
Yeah.
I ain't a trout. I ain't much on trout
I
fish.
love
It's one of my favorite fishing.
It's fun.
I like fishing it. I don't care nothing about eating it though.
Yeah.
Unless you get one big enough to where you ain't got jack with the bones.
Yeah, I mean they are bony. I mean that's a bad thing about them, but I like eating them.
Yeah, I was like you. I got to go to trout fishing this year again. We go twice a year, try to anyways. And anyways, we usually go to the spring river. And man, this year it was just dead. Like I can catch a limit fast. Go out there, catch a limit, put them in the cooler. The rest of the day I can cook hamburgers and drink a little beer and hang out by the river and stuff like that. And this year we had to work to get them. So I wound up fishing for trout in a different way that I've never fished before. It's putting a freaking cork on there like you're fishing for crappie or something, and then throwing it out where it would hold that depth.
Yeah.
And man, they were smoking it. But my brother showed me how to do that instead of fishing on the bottom like we usually do. You pitch it out with some kind of rig or live bait.
Did you run like a lighter leader below the cork where you?
No, it was just whatever 6-pound test I had on there.
You just snapped the cork above it.
I just snapped the cork above it.
Yeah.
Pitched it out, let it go about 1.5 feet deep, and just let it go down through those, little shoots and stuff, and it just kind of will bump on the rocks, and they grab it.
Could you see the cork in that water?
Yeah.
I mean, it was nothing.
No, it wasn't easy. I mean, you get in some of the little swift shoots. By the time you pitched it upstream and you cut the slack in it, if you got a bite, you had a lot of slack. So you had to get your reel going before you got a bite. You had to stay up with it, and then as it passed, you kind of let a little line out and be ready to get on the trigger.
I have fun catching them.
If I go over there, I'd rather smallmouth. I don't care about the trout fishing.
You like pitching lures better?
I'd rather. I don't know nothing about trout fishing, so I just never been my thing.
Well, this was the first time we had took a guide. Most of the time we just rent a boat and go, but it was just me and Michael. So we had some friends that said, "Man, this guy's a good guide. Y'all should go with him." He fished the same way we did. I mean, wasn't doing anything different than when we fish them. He just kind of knew the holes.
What is that rig you always fish with?
Man, it's called a White River spinner. I only find them up there, but it's
we tried to find them down here.
Yeah,
we can't find it.
It's like an inline spinner with a couple beads on it and a snap on the back, and you fish with like a number 4 long shank hook with most people put power bait. You use a little of those salmon egg power baits, and then or a piece of wax worm or a piece of corn or something like that. We were fishing with he brought some shrimp. I'd never done this. It was like one piece of power bait, one little terrace shrimp, and then one kernel of corn. So they had a buffet on the hook.
It's just a bare hook, no spinner or nothing on it.
No, it still had the little spinner. Yeah. You still had the little White River spinner, just to give it some action. But we also fished with some spoons. I'd never done this, but they had like those. Y'all remember those little MEPs?
Mm-hmm.
It was like a little small running spoon. It had the little red and white on it.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. These were just like solid gold or solid silver, but it had a little clacker thing on it, just a one treble hook. That's all it had. And you fished it more like you would for smallmouth, but the trout were eating it up. And you fished it above the boat, upriver, or let's say downriver. You threw it down and fished it back to the boat. Where when we fish those White River spinners, it's usually a slow drift. So he'll run upriver, cut the boat sideways, and put it on a drift, and you fish up above you, and your bait kind of flows as the boat flows. But the river was a good depth. It ran us off the water by storm, but we caught our limit pretty easily.
The water up there changes quick on that river too.
Oh, it's amazing how the white changes real fast. It's shallow now. Oh, it was on the drop down then when we were there though. But they say it'll go a couple feet just in a day or whatever when they turn the generators on or turn them off.
I actually got to bring a friend of mine. He's never been fishing, and we've been friends for several years. And anyways, this guy was telling me that he's never caught a fish, and it was like on his bucket list. He's the same age as me, so he's mid to late 40s, and he was like, "Man, I've never caught a fish." He grew up in the city, and he moved down here to DeSoto County and wanted to go fishing. I was like, "Man, if I'd have known that, I'd have already taken you." I was like, "I got the perfect place. We got a pond down here that's overstocked." I was like, "I'll bring you down there." So I brought him down here, and this guy had never fished, so I kind of had to show him how to bait the hook and rig it up and all that stuff. But man, that guy is we call him Rookie, but Rookie Mike,
He had that name before he brought him.
That was before he brought him down.
He was a rookie at everything.
Yeah,
rookie at everything.
It fits, Rookie Mike. So, anyways, Rookie, man, by the end of the day, he was hollering, fish on. And, I mean, it could be a little old perch. It wasn't no bigger than 3 fingers big, boy. He was so excited, man. And, that's one thing that gets me fired up is, like, people that's never experienced stuff like that, whether it be hunting or fishing or.
He wasn't trying to hold the pole upside down, was he?
And
that tickles me to death.
I ain't gonna put that on him. I don't think he did.
Yeah.
I think he's seen me hold mine that way, and he did it the right way. But man, I don't know. He wanted to keep every fish, which we had to anyways. We kept I don't know, probably about 20 brim and probably about 15, 20 bass. But we were just baiting the hook, just let him throw it out there and let him just catch them, And man, that dude was fired.
He's hooked now.
Oh yeah, he kept asking, he's like, "When can we go back? You ready to go fishing?"
He's cool as he is. That's what I should have done. I should have brought fishing poles today.
Man, I tell you where you need to take him is take him out there with David on the river.
Yeah,
put him on one of them big catfish.
Oh yeah,
I showed him pictures of our fishing trips, and he was like, "How do you catch one of those? Can we catch one of those?" I was like, "No, we got to go out in the river to catch those. They ain't in the pond." But yeah, I thought about that. I was like, "Man, I ought to take him out there and with David and let him catch one of those monster fish."
Fishing's changed around here with no Arkabutla Lake no more.
Yeah, no, man, that's
something that happened over the summer. Did that happen before we took our break?
Happened over the summer.
We got a huge reservoir. It's kind of in between where we are at the farm and back home. But Mississippi's, what do we got, 4 or 5 core lakes, basically.
This was the Arkabutla.
This was the northern core lake, and they said they had a defect in the dam.
So
they drained
hole
the whole
or
lake.
something in it. Yeah.
It's gonna take it years to recover, man. You talk about all the crappie fishing that lake's known for, and I mean just everything.
It's going to affect every wildlife in the area.
But you know how clear that lake's going to be when they start filling it back up. All that grass is growing.
Yeah, I was down there Sunday, I guess it was.
Are they starting to let it fill up yet?
No.
I don't even think they got the repair started yet.
No, they don't. They don't really know exactly what to do. Or I mean, I know they're having engineers look at it, trying to figure out what's going on and what's causing it or whatever. But it's acres and acres and acres that used to be water. It's all now. Shoot, it's 6 foot high green grass everywhere.
Wow.
It's actually more water in there than what I thought it would be. But it's.
I want to really cover that this winter just to see kind of what it's going to change for us, because I know we talked about it before. Is like, how much is that going to affect duck hunting down here?
Well, see, a bunch of people don't talk about, oh man, duck hunting can be able to, man, you got to consider that's been underwater for over 50 years. You're not going to be able to put waders on and wade out to one of them holes and duck hunt it.
Oh, somebody will figure that out. I'm just wondering if it's going to affect, like with us hunting rice fields, they'd always go to the lake. It's so much water in our area now that, ducks don't have to pick and choose their holes. So how much is that going to affect to where, that was thousands of acres of water they could have.
They're still they're still going to fly that Coldwater River.
If you've ever
they'll
been
come
out there,
right to us.
So like Mark was talking about, that lake, it held a lot of ducks in there. So if you've ever rode across the levee late in the evenings and look out there, you'll see like masses of ducks kind of roosted out there in the middle of the lake late
sitting
in the
on that open water.
Yeah. I mean, if you've ever been out there fishing at night, catfishing or something, you'll run through them, or you'll see them kind of skimmering away from you as you go through them. So, I mean, if there's no water out there now, those ducks got to go somewhere and roost. So, we do have private lakes around that they'll probably sit on out in Eudora and, around like Y'all's Lake and stuff like that. But if you're hunting in this area kind of west in the Delta or whatever, I think it's going to make it a lot better.
I think it's going to help, but also I think if you had, say, 200 government land people that hunt that lake every Saturday morning, that's going to put pressure somewhere else. So are they already planning for it? Hey, let's get a duck lease this year. Or are they fishing to try to pile in on the side of the interstates where it holds water?
It's going to be all in that mud hole.
Yeah. Which the mud hole's dry.
It's bone dry.
Is it bone dry too?
But you got those water holes over there on the other side of the mud hole by 55.
Yeah, 55 still holding a little bit of water out there. And then, of course, Askew, they flood it every year. So I imagine it's going to push a lot of them down there.
It's going to be an interesting year.
It might be a good year for Askew, honestly.
Yeah.
With the lake not full and them following the river down there, they'll come by us and go to Askew. Askew will liable to be jammed up.
Which I was telling Mikey coming down here, we had to go across the bottom at the house on Sunday. I was going to a buddy of mine's little boy's birthday party, but when we crossed the Coldwater River, this would be, I guess, the very far, I guess it'd be the north end of it, right there in Byhalia. Pretty much, it's not much bigger than a creek at that point. And when we rode through, there was not a federal game warden, but like a conservation for the state. they were putting kayaks in right there. And I was like, they had a bunch of equipment and stuff like that. And I was like, talking to Mikey, what they might have been doing. I mean, it could have been something to do with fish population, just trying to see how much the lake's changed upriver. How much is it, not holding fish now?
Oh, people were posting videos of the water was just pretty much white with dead fish that was coming through the
downriver. It was
downriver.
Yeah.
I'm talking about
down
thousands and thousands and tens of thousands of fish.
I'm sure it did a massive fish kill on them. The good thing about it is that lake is fed by all these creeks and other, waterways and stuff that hold tons of fish. So those fish will eventually go back to the lake. But
if they put water
fish
back
is
in
not going to be good for a few years.
Yeah, I know.
Which it ain't gonna hurt that lake. I mean, it was at a point it needed a good reset. I hated to go the way it did, but I think now's the time to take a little time and see what needs to be dredged out, see what needs to be fixed, and make that lake prosper, make it a great lake in a couple of years.
So Jamie, you went down to talk to the handicap hunt folks.
Arkabutla physically challenged hunt. Yeah.
Did those guys say anything about the lake or anything? They talk much about it? 'Cause they're there every day seeing it.
Yeah, I'm probably pretty sure they're probably limited on what they can say, but I know they are getting engineers are looking at it pretty much weekly, trying to see what is exactly wrong or what it's going to take to fix it. But there's nobody said a definite date about when they're going to start work or when work possibly be finished. But
I mean, you got to think that's got to be something, because you don't want to turn around and invest this much time and money, drain this lake, lose these many resources, and then 2 years now something happens again.
That's right.
And have to do it again. So.
Yeah.
Now's the chance to go through and
do it right.
In my mind, you got a hole, you get an excavator, go and
fill it in.
Yeah. Dig it out, see what's wrong.
no Flex Seal commercials, go in there and get spraying.
That's it.
Yeah.
Be good to go.
What'd they say about what was the news on the handicap? Are they going to get because they cut down public access out there, right?
Behind the levee, yes. I mean, because I don't think you can go behind the levee with it being damaged like that right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can only drive. Yeah, and this it kind of don't make sense in a way. The levee's got a hole in it, but you can drive across the levee.
But you can't go on the downside.
You can't go below it. But
so that means the spillway and all that camping area and all that.
Yeah, well, down there is not any camping area. It's just a bunch of people fish the spillway. That's you can't access it to fish anymore. The campground part, most of it's still up and going. But I know they're.
Where's the area where they do the handicap hunt?
It's down there at the
campground side.
Are they going to? But is it behind the? I mean, is it considered down of the levee?
It's below the levee. Yeah.
So they
as of now, we're gonna still get to do the hunt.
Yeah.
And I don't think. I don't think they're gonna close it down. I know some things are gonna change. Like they might not have enough money to do the food plots and stuff like that. That was that they usually do every year just because of budget stuff now. But they're gonna still do the hunt. It's gonna be a good hunt. I'm ready.
It's fun.
When is that? Did they set a date?
It is the first weekend and second weekend of December.
Okay. Shoot, that's prime
rut.
Prime.
I'll be down there. I can't.
But it's muzzleloader only or on core ground, right?
It's muzzleloader or most of them. Believe it or not, man, I don't know how them guys. Some of them are wheelchairs, some of them are walkers, whatever. But most of them are shooting 35 Wayland. They're pretty daggum tough.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess it was a couple. They were shooting 350 Legends last year.
Yeah, like ours, which is on the AR platform, they can't use. But if it's like one Sam's got a bolt action. Oh well, I don't know if bolt action got a clip. You can do it. I get a single shot 350 Legends a go. Yes,
I'll have me one this year. Another one.
But it's several guys down there that are shooting regular, just plain, just old school muzzleloader,
black powder.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm telling you, if you ask, it's pretty cool to watch some guys that. Again, it goes back to some of the guys to what people consider a small buck or coil buck. Man, that's a once in one weekend a year they get to hunt.
Yeah,
and it's a 180-inch deer to them. No, I definitely enjoy it. Definitely enjoy it. It's fun. Ready to do it.
What else you got on your list over there?
Man, dove season's around the corner. I know we got that coming up. We had a biologist come out here though.
Yeah,
Mikey, what all they have to say?
So usually every other year, I usually have the biologist come down, and I had them come down right when you bought that one farm, and we looked at it, and we looked at this one, and they were the ones that kind of give us
Quota.
Yeah, kind of a quota and a management plan for like our forest and our fields and things like that, and then kind of the first thing to kind of target was our deer population, you know, because we were trying to grow beans and stuff like that in the summertime. It just wasn't working. They were eating it down. So, and they kind of noticed that some of the native plants that were around like our fence edges and in our fields and stuff, the deer were eating those, and they do consume those, but they only consume when they're starving to death. And they were eating the crap out of them. So they were like, y'all got to take the population down. So for the last 2 years, we hadn't really had anybody, hadn't had them come back. And, you know, we kind of got on a pretty stiff doe management program. I think we killed 20 something the first year, and last year we killed around 15.
And that blows people's mind, but we got bigger,
We ain't put a
healthier
dent in 'em, I
deer
don't feel
now.
like.
Yeah.
Well, we have, because like looking like this year when we went around, John Grucci, which we've had him on the podcast, and y'all can listen to him talk on one of our, what is season 1 or season 2? I can't
he was
remember which
first year.
season he came in, but John Grucci was the biologist that came down here and brought, you know, a couple other guys with him too. We had 3 down here. But we went around and looked at those same native plants that they were destroying before, and they're not touching them no more. So they didn't really look at any of our cameras. You know, I can take the chips out, give them cameras. They'll, you know, send them down to, I guess, Mississippi State, or they'll do it, or they got a program where they'll look at how many deer you have and try to give you an idea of population. But he had said that we had knocked it down, and I can see it a lot. You know, we put out cages around our fields in the summer. And last year we did it, you know, and they were still eating it down pretty good bit. And this year our food plots are actually not as eat down as they normally would be. You know, we're about 12 inches of grazing pressure lower than what it is in the cage that can't be touched. So
Whereas before,
And last year we
for
were
last
36.
year, yeah,
3
it
foot
was-
below it.
Yeah, well, I think a big thing was we've done a better job figuring out what plants will grow in the summer for us. It's
Yeah.
good for the deer.
Well, they can,
And
what plants keep up?
tonnage. We put a tonnage
Yeah.
out there for them. So the buckwheat and the American joint deer vetch is through the roof here. I
Yeah.
mean, we've got so much out there for them to eat now. There's no possible way deer can keep it down.
They can't eat that. They did keep that one field. You know, we planted that vetch in that 1 2 acre field.
Yeah.
They did keep it mowed down pretty good. But that was the only one we had. This year we went strictly to that and the buckwheat, and they've got so much food out there now. They're so scattered and spread out that it's hard for them to eat it down.
What's amazing to me is, so we put cameras on these plots where we know they come in and out of the fields and where they're using them. And we are seeing just family groups of does at the same time in all these different fields. So there's still a ton of deer here. Now the
Yeah.
bucks are still coming out in them too, but the bucks don't use, you know, they're not on camera near as much as the does.
No.
I think they lay up and they eat a lot. You know, they have a different diet. I mean, they're going to eat the stuff in the fields, but I think their diet's way different as far as they ain't just coming out in the wide open and grazing.
Yeah. You know, and that was one of the things that all the biologists talked about, was like how selective a deer is on their diet. You know, each deer knows what it has to have throughout the year. You know, and this water deer may be getting, their range may be on the northern east side of your property where there's stuff over there they're getting over here, but the deer that are on this side are, you know, maybe they're not getting that same nutrient or whatever, so they
Yeah.
have to move from one side of the property to the other to kind of get that nutrient.
Make up for it.
Yeah, make up for it. So, you know, they said that, you know, looking at our grass fields and stuff, we thought we were doing pretty good leaving our grass. We got a lot of sage. We got a lot of fescue and pasture grasses that are in our fields. We've let them grow up. Of course, it's harboring, you know, turkeys and rabbits and stuff like that, but it's nutritionally, it's not the best it should be. So our next step is to target our grass areas.
Work on the grasslands.
Work on the grass areas. We're going to do some burning, do some spraying, and get some of those natural grasses and things like ragweed, goatweed, and things like that, which most people don't want that in their pastures. You know, but
it's not pretty. That's the big thing. You know, when we first got this place, Jamie did a great job of bush hogging everything. We kept it all cut down, and when you rode around, man, it looked manicured. And
it looked good. We just had the wrong idea.
Yeah, and that's exactly right. That's not habitat. You know, keeping it manicured and good to ride in and weeds out of your face and all that might be great to show your buddies what your land looks like, or to go out and just recreate on, to drive around, have a good time. But if you want the animals, the deer, the turkey, the rabbits, all this other stuff to live there and to thrive there and stay there, you got to let it grow up.
Yeah.
They want the bedding areas. They
Let
want
the
that
correct
tall grass.
stuff
Yeah,
grow
with the
up.
correct stuff. With the correct stuff.
And you know, one of the biggest ways that they said, you know, to manage that, because, you know, we always bush hog, either rotating, or we just bush hog it all down and then let it grow back up the next year, you know, is fire, you know. And we've talked about burning stuff and everything, how people kind of see that as like not a good thing, but, you know, that's a natural way of those natural grasses replenishing themselves every year. So as you do this, or you start into a management, you know, grass management program, you burn like every other year. You know, you can rotate burn this part of the property, you know, let it burn down and come back, but you're really not losing much if you really think about it, because when you hit June, like now, everything grows so freaking fast. You know, June, July, August, everything grows so fast. You've got a field full of weeds and natural grasses back out there within a couple of months. You know, it may look naked when you burn it, but
you're not getting it's burning so hot, so fast, so quick. The root system in the ground, it's not damaging it. So I guarantee you,
Just taking about top layer.
Yeah, you're gonna see fresh green stuff in 2 to 3 weeks probably
Easily.
come back up.
yeah, because you know, they used to cut hay and have cows and all that on that back 50 over there that we're talking about, and you know that they wanted that fescue and things like that for the cows. You know, it's pasture grass, but for deer, they don't. It's not really nutritionally. It's not the best thing that could be in that field for them. They didn't say we were failing. They just said we were not maximizing what we could have out there.
Yeah, they want the wildflowers, the native grasses, all the stuff that the deer like to eat or is good for them.
Well, we don't hire them to come down here and tell us that we're doing a good job. We want to know what we're missing, and they're always that was kind of like our thing when I worked at Caterpillar and inspectors come by. You want them to find something. You want them to find something so you can improve on next year. And we're light years better than we were 3 or 4 years ago. And we're never going to get to the point where they come in and it's like, y'all got it perfect. You know, that's not going to happen.
No,
you know,
not. No.
Hey, they did take some pictures though. They like some of that stuff.
So what did he say about goat weed?
They said goat weed is something that you want. You know, the deer do eat the goat weed, and they utilize goat weed and like the turkeys and different.
Yeah, it's like
stuff.
velvety kind
of. It
of.
don't come in till late though. You know, it comes in right around the end of July. It starts like you see it sprigging up, and then it just thrives this time of the year.
I've always liked the way it looked. I didn't know if deer, how much they ate on it, really.
It looks invasive to me. Like, it don't even look like it ought to be out there.
We do a fantastic job of growing it.
I ain't no doubt.
That choke stuff grows up
around here. All you got to do is spray a little Roundup, and then the goat weed comes in right behind it.
See, I was highly misinformed on goat weed as a kid. I was probably, I might have been 10, 12. At a place we dove hunted, just pasture land. It was full of goat weed. Man, we go out there and we're like, I'm talking about every day for like 2 weeks straight, limited out on birds, on doves. I'm like, man, I mean, that's back when birds definitely more plentiful here. I was like, man, them doves just really love that goat weed. Well, I didn't know my dad and his friend, they was helping the goat weed with a little bit of wheat along the way.
I bet they was.
I just thought doves just love goat weed.
But they give you a lot of good information. And some of the things you may not want to do on your property, you know, they wanted us to, you know, really thin out our pines. You know, that was one thing they were wanting us to do on that one property, is thin them pines out real heavy. I don't necessarily agree with that. I mean, I'm not saying it's a bad idea, but, you know, we've kind of seen some of the farms around us that done that. And for a couple of years, you can see several hundred yards through the, you know, we don't have a big enough property. If we did that, we would just have it would just be wide open.
You're cutting out all your cover.
Yeah. So we would lose a lot of our cover, you know, but, you know, I'm not saying we're right or wrong. I'm just saying that's just not what we would like to do. And the same thing with like our woods out here, you know, they want to keep, you know, they want you to manage it to where your property is, your timber value is still high on your property. And we're trying to do that, getting rid of the sweet guns with the injection or the hack and squirt, whatever you want to call it. And we're doing some of that stuff, but, you know, you still have to maintain that stuff after you get it to a certain point with like fire or, I mean, I don't recommend pesticides. It's pretty expensive. Fire is cheap as long as you got the right people out there to do it.
See, that's what scares me though. When you talk fire as a landowner, I mean, I don't know anything about burning stuff. What do you get somebody to come in, or because I mean, the last thing you want to do is start burning, and all of a sudden it gets away from you and it gets on your neighbors, or it does damage, or it kills stuff that you don't
want.
Where
we're at, we're lucky enough, like all the guys I've met at the Corps, pretty much all of them, I guess for their background, you got to have a burn license to, and so, I mean, it's several people out there that are
Definitely, if you've never done it, I wouldn't recommend going out there and just start setting the woods on fire.
No, because there's a lot to understand, and there's a lot of information on YouTube and things like that, and that you can watch. That one guy that you sent me the other day, I watch him. He's a biologist. I watch him a lot, and he does a real good job of explaining head fires and backing fires and things like that. And
what the weather's going to be and everything else.
Yeah, to control that thing. Because you light a grass. I mean, most of us we live in rural areas. We got a burn pile. And your yard's caught on fire before if you burn, leaves or sticks or something in your yard, if it's dry, and you kind of panic because it's getting away from you. But, if you're educated in that stuff and know what to do and know what you're looking at, it's not nothing to panic about.
But we're not burning. Bermuda will scare you to death, man. It runs like gunpowder.
That stuff will take off.
We're burning small areas. It's not like we're finna go set 50, 60 acres on fire at one time.
No, we're going to burn today. And what do you think? That's maybe 2 acres?
2 acres, yeah. It's 2 acres. But, it's talking about burning, the best thing to do if you're scared of doing it or you're not educated is they do have companies out there that do it for you. They do have, there are people that you have access to. There are biologists that would come in and help you and, supervise you burning stuff. Those guys, they all, like Jamie said, there's guys at the Corps that I don't know if they're allowed to do it on the side or not, but, they do have those educations and certifications, and same way with some biologists, to be able to kind of help you and instruct you on what you need to do or be out there and just supervise it.
Well, that's what like y'all said, we're going to go out there and we got to do a little dove field burning, right?
Yep.
What's our plan on that?
Not to burn everything else.
Not to do what we just told you, not to do what we're not supposed to.
I'm going to do a lot of standing back.
You're going to run the water hose.
I got me one of them fire whoopers.
So
I don't know what you call it. Swatter, I guess is what it's called.
So we've got the tools and somewhat of a little bit of education, and we've got a supervisor.
Yeah.
We got the drip torches. We ain't never ran one of them. I ain't never ran one of y'all.
No.
If y'all see us with bandages next week, we know we didn't do it right.
But yeah, we're going to burn our dove field today. We did a rotating dove field or whatever. I don't know if that's the right terminology. We planted wheat we had millet and wheat last year.
Yeah, and we burn it.
And then after the dove season, we came back and planted wheat for food plots. But that was it was just straight wheat. So that wheat, after it went through the winter and fed the deer and turkeys and everything that was around, it started growing in the spring, came up, headed out, and that's what we're fixing to go burn now. We're going to burn it back down and keep rotating that just like that.
Yeah.
You set it on fire, seed that falls to the ground, resprouts, and we got another food plot without planting anything or doing anything to it.
But you can go back and lightly till it or, lightly disc it.
If you got some negative spots
seeds,
or something like, you can till it, and if you needed to till it and re-sow it, you could.
I think that's kind of like the budget way to do a dove field, because we tried the sunflowers. Man, the seed's expensive.
The deer wear it out.
The chemical, you fight the deer, you fight whatever neighbors' cows.
Yeah.
If you do
you fight the weeds, if you don't spray it twice at least, you're going to have it growed up, and then you're not guaranteed that it's going to even make enough sunflowers to draw any birds in.
Yeah, you don't a 4 or 5 acre dove field. You finna drop $1,500, $2,000 on it.
If you do sunflowers,
if you do sunflowers,
it's $90 a bag, and that'll plant an acre.
Which I hadn't been down there in the last couple of weeks, but we hadn't battled weeds now. Like it's been pretty.
Spraying the crap out.
You did spray the wheat.
Yeah.
Not the wheat. Now the wheat, we just let it go. But you did come back round of it, so
I sprayed the wheat. Because once the weed headed out and it started breaking off, it got brittle. It started falling. Yeah, other birds are lighting out there, and so they're crapping out seeds, and so we've got poke salad and goat weed, Johnson grass.
But it's not like it was.
No,
it stayed a wheat field all during turkey season.
Yeah.
The whole time.
Mostly all summer until it just kind of got real hot,
The weeds hadn't been like it was when we done sunflowers.
No, not even
like
close.
Oh, there's nothing like spending $2,000, $2,500 dove field full of birds week before a cold front comes through. And you're gone.
But we're gonna do some videos today, and y'all can check those out. We're gonna show you how to do a budgeted dove field, budget dove field. So we got 2 different ways. We got 2 fields. So we got one that we're going to disc today, and we got it kind of broke up now, but we're going to re-disc it. We're going to throw, weed out, which is in our area is 90 pounds per acre is legal to throw. You have to, throw it with a mechanical sower or hand thrower or something. You know, we're gonna do it with the one on the side by side, but.
And you got to do it at least 10 days before dove
10 to
season?
14 days before you hunt over it.
Yeah.
So we're going to throw that out, hopefully attract some birds on that field, and then we're going to burn this other one. And, you know, we really don't have a whole lot of money in that other than, you know, just the wheat seed and a little diesel fuel and, you know, just a little bit of Roundup. Well, I sprayed on there to kind of knock the weeds down so we could burn them.
Well, the thing I like, so you do the sunflower field, once you dove hunt, that's it. I mean, you know, your sunflowers are terminated. You got to put something back in. We go in with our weed. It's cheap, but we have that for all deer season.
And that field there drew some deer last year.
I was amazed at how many deer came through that. Just the wheat field.
Yeah,
you know?
I killed deer out of it.
Yeah, you did. But they stayed in it.
Yeah,
they stayed.
There wasn't a time we pulled out there that they was not on that hilltop eating.
I mean, you know, late in the winter, you know, February and March, stuff like that. You know, the turkeys were out there. You know, we had game out there in that field for a while.
Yeah. After we get our doves field done, we'll come back and we'll go more in depth on the next podcast or something. Talk about what all we did and what we think it's going to do, and if we're seeing any birds. I mean, we've had birds all summer long.
Yeah,
they've been drawn to that wheat. That's another good thing. You got seeds out there; they're still eating it. When we broke around the field, they love that fresh dirt. They've been in that all summer long. So I'm expecting to have some dove this year.
I'm guilty of it. Is when you don't even think about wheat being a really productive, or you know, it doesn't have any kind of return, and it really does. Like for the bang, like you say, for the bang for the buck. And if you'd have told me we were planting wheat for deer, I never would have thought we'd seen deer in it like we did. I didn't think it drawed them.
I mean, you know, in our mix, I've always put wheat and oats, and a lot of times that rye, you know, in a rye.
I think you get it in your head, you want to see that broadleaf.
Yeah,
you know, you want to see those turnips. You always hear about clover, and you're overlooking one of the best products out there that you can do like we're doing right now and run that year to year and do not have a lot invested in it.
That's why everybody likes ryegrass so much, I think, just because
ryegrass is horrible for them, though.
It just comes up and you see this green leaf no nutrients, and it's cheap, and it
comes back.
Yep, and it looks like it's something out there.
Well, on our place, the wheat, the rye, the wheat, the rye, the oats, and you know, we generally put a few broadleaf stuff in there. We'll put daikon radish or a purple top turnip, just a little bit in our mix sometimes. But then we have like full turnip fields that we plant too, you know, and those usually go in right around dove season or just after, you know, in like October. They're beautiful. The deer are attracted to them, and then they kind of play out. They get big and they don't want to mess with them, and then they start eating the turnips late in the.
But those grains come on.
But those grains kind of your filler in between that time when they stop eating the, you know, the turnips and stuff like that, and they're waiting on the bulb to come out to eat that. So
what I like about the grains is you can wait. Like you can plant it here probably all the way up to November.
Yeah.
And still be okay. You can just catch it, you know, on a weekend or whenever you know you're going to get some rain, get those seeds out there and they'll come up. You don't have to get those in at Labor Day, you know, to get your grains in.
And if you're looking
a lot of times they'll mature too much. I mean, we planted them last year right before Halloween, and by rifle season, we had green fields.
Yeah.
You know, 2 weeks. In 2 weeks' time, they're up and deer already using them for rifle season.
And if you're going, you know, if you want to make something that the turkeys are going to be attracted to too, I mean, that wheat, they're attracted to it. You can throw in a little bit of that crimson clover, you know, which is a, you know, annual clover or whatever. So you can throw that in there, and you just have to terminate all that when you go back in with your summer stuff later on. But it'll run all the way up to, we had food on the ground all the way up through April before we finally just terminated some of those fields and started over.
And really had plenty there that you wouldn't really have to terminate at the end.
Well, so what we did was left our clover. We'd left some plots that were clover plots, so we always had something out there. So even though we put in summer plots, we still had green. We still had food. And a year-round food source is helping us on small farms hold more deer than anything. Having the food and having a bedding area, letting places grow up, that has been the ticket on this place.
Yeah. I mean, another thing that we didn't talk about is, you know, like our forest management, stuff like that. You know, we had several storms come through this year. We had one ice storm, and then we had a couple tornadoes. Bad, like storms. I don't know that a tornado touched down here, but it did knock over. It's high enough wind, it knocked over some trees, you know, and we just kind of got those out of the way and left them. And now it's like grass growing around the bottoms of them. You know, it's got cover for the deer. You can't see, you know, it gives them, you know, some areas to lay in now, you know, instead of going in there and cleaning all those up.
I mean, like yes, it's not landscaping pretty, I guess you'd say, but as far as something for wildlife to get out, it's definitely going.
I mean, you think like what I'm anxious to see the difference is that Wayland stand. Because there's more trees down right there, and then that one big oak tree is still living.
Yeah.
So I mean, it ought to still produce acorns and stuff like that.
Yeah, so it'll produce acorns, you know, and that's one of the biggest things about like you hear them talk about this hinging, or you know, if the root ball is still alive, you know, when you hinge those trees over, you get the deer get access to that whole entire tree. So the poison oak growing up the side of it, or the acorns are, you know, at head level to them.
Muscadine
yeah,
vine.
I mean, some kind of vine that takes them over and all that stuff. It creates all that stuff right there at their level. You know, or normally it'd be up in the top of the canopy or something like that. So
I think Wayland stand's going to produce a big one this year. I think that's going to be the stand that kills the bigger deer on this property this year.
I don't know. We got some good ones because that back field on that ditch back there.
Yeah, we got to grow on the wall.
And we got there's so much little micro plots for them. They feel safe back there. But
you were talking about them taking pictures. You know what they were impressed with. You know, and we did the grow on the wall. This is the second year, but we did it way more aggressively than we did last year. Last year we just had, you know, a little strip around the field, and it made a huge difference. This year we kind of broke the fields out.
Created some lanes or highways.
Like little micro plots, 1 acre plots or 2 acre plots in these big 8-10 acre fields, and broke them up to where the deer got to kind of maneuver around the field where they can't just walk out and see several hundred yards. They can only see 100 yards in the field. So,
but they're calmer in those areas.
Yeah, they are. I mean, in putting that we're planting a grow on the wall, which is Egyptian wheat, Sudan grass, and brown top millet is the 3 main things that are in it. So it's good for the turkeys. It's good for if you have small game birds like quail and things like that. But the deer still utilize it as a place to kind of lay in, bed in, travel in, and they kind of nip on some of that stuff. So, but they were pretty impressed with that because they'd never seen nobody do that on their farms. You know, everybody wants that big, clean, slick field, and they were like, y'all have created a habitat right here in this field for the deer. So they took a lot of pictures of that stuff. They were pretty impressed with that.
Well, we're going to have a lot more of this topics like this to talk about as the year goes on. We just wanted to kick off season 3 here today, and we'll be back next week to talk about our favorite thing.
Hopefully with all our eyebrows.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, hopefully have our eyebrows in our arm here, right?
None of y'all have a beard
next week after we burn this field.
We're going to go do some burning, and we'll check back in with y'all next week. But anything we need to tell anybody, Mark? I've already forgot.
It's been a while, but y'all make sure to check us out on all the platforms. We got plenty of content. Me and Jamie, and I think, heck, all of us have already filmed some recipe videos. Should be hitting pretty soon. A lot of good content coming this year, but y'all make sure to check us out at our website, buckjunkies.com. Listen to us on the platforms, and I guess
subscribe to the YouTube channel.
Subscribe.
All right. Well, we'll see y'all next time. We gone.